of a delay again. Round 20 of 22 in F1 22 is Mexico. Mexican Grand Prix this evening. 3 practice sessions, 1 shot qualifying, 50% distance race, all coming up this evening. Last week, at Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, was initially a bit stressful, going through the practice sessions. But by the end of those sessions, I think I was getting a bit more confident with feeling my way around the track. And it meant that there was an excellent qualifying position and a very good race outcome. Slightly, it has to be said, frustrated by the fact that there was one last component change, control electronics, I think, just to see us comfortably through the rest of the season. Which meant that after a good qualifying spot, pole position, after all of the penalties and stuff shook out, it was a P8 start. And it was a big charge, not going silly with strategy, just trying to get it all done on track. And it paid off. But as 5 says here, not without some luck. I mean, I would have had the flashback bail me out if necessary, but for the amount of very close contact action during some of those overtakes, to come away with a very lightly scuffed front wing end plate was big luck indeed. I have to plug myself into the controller here, so I can talk to my engineer. But let's have a quick cheeky look at the stupid shop, and then we'll move things along nice and quick. What have we got here? We've got some shiny helmets. See how that will end up being a Michael Schumacher era. Some classic purple on there. That's kind of, with those big sharp lines, that's kind of typical for a lot of drivers' helmets, like Kimi Raikkonen or Lewis Hamilton would probably have shapes kind of like that. That's kind of fun. I like that one. Can I afford it? I think I can, actually. What else have we got? That crap. This thing. Wibbly wobbly contours. Sure, great. Okay. I'll just buy this with my fake currency and we'll move on. Yes, please. That'd be great. Hooray! Okay, there we go. That was rewarding, wasn't it? Some excellent points at the last race. And an unfortunate outcome for Lando Norris meant that my aim of getting ahead of him in the driver's standings has been done. Now I need to make that stick. The next 3 races have to be good, solid point scorers to secure 5th in the driver's standings. Maybe, if I'm lucky. Maybe 4th. But one step at a time, right? First of all, we need to get through round 20. And whatever we need to do at Team HQ and the Pirelli Hot Lap. So let's push forward. hope everybody else has had a very pleasant weekend. And you haven't felt so bullied by time. Last time, I think it was it like a time trial or something, and then I selected drift by accident, and I ended up doing drift. I don't have to choose drift this time, which is nice. Okay, so we are ready for the Pirelli Hot Lap. Let's quickly remind ourselves what the situation is with car performance. This should be pretty stable now for the rest of the season. You can see how close Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes are in terms of their performance here on the chart. It looks to me like, as close as it is, Mercedes is just slightly off the curve, finds themselves third, but it is incredibly tough at the top. Some recent research and development failures. Some things have had to be reordered and should be ready for the last 2 races of the season. And we're basically holding ourselves in a situation here where there are things such as next season's regulation changes in-game are affecting a whole bunch of things here. Which will be decisions that I don't really need to make immediately. And where there was issues with failures and stuff that needs to be put through again, I've opted to spend resource points on that. So nothing particularly new to benefit us this time round, but a good solid car anyway. Beat you 2 at 5. So yeah, there we go. That's a quick reminder of the kind of the development aspect of the car. There's probably, once these new parts kind of come through and hopefully they're a nice successful addition. We've got them for the last 2 race weekends, and that'll just kind of give us a little extra push to some good points. But Pirelli Hot Lap, what shall it be? Autocross or average speed? Autocross is the stupid slaloms, which I don't want to do. So let's say average speed zone. Always press it twice. And I'll get myself into race position. Yeah. What's the... there we go. Woof. Another long evening ahead. Get comfy, everybody. Get yourself some delicious snack. Average speed zone. Am I a bit too far back there? It'll have to do. It's in a Ferrari Roma. Apparently they smell really nice. Take on a challenging section of the circuit in which the average speed is measured. The best speed over 3 attempts is the final result. So 3 chances. But got to stay within track limits. Or it just won't count. It won't count. It's an interesting time of day, isn't it? Sun has set, or is just about to. Curious time. Anyway, so let's not go too crazy, especially for that first attempt, because I don't even know what portion of the circuit I'm trying to do this on yet. Okay, so challenge targets. To get gold and 1,000 driver acclaim points, we have to have an average speed of 82 miles an hour. Silver, for 500 acclaim points is 79 miles an hour. Bronze for 250 is 75. So, as always, small margins here can make a big difference. 3 attempts. I'd like to go for silver. Gold is a lovely bonus, but silver, I'll be happy. I would have had a lovely day. I'd be happy to take away that as my prize. So let's focus on that. There's a fancy pants Ferrari iPad there, to the right hand side of the dash. Well, how about that? Never really noticed that before. Okay, let's get stuck in. Same rules as always in this game. Don't check, chat, and drive. I will have my eyes firmly fixed on the road for most of this. So I will dive into chat as and when I can. Just a reminder that I'm not being rude. I'm just a bit busy. Let's go. Okay, so a tricky opening portion. Very tight here. This does snake around a little bit. This will feel much nicer in an F1 car for sure. And I'm off. Okay, not far away actually from the finish line there, so that's interesting. That puts pressure on the next two. Sad music there. It's like the sad Hulk music. $79 average speed. That's what we want. This is the tight bit. This is the difficult bit here. Foot down. Push, push, push. How did we do? So, oh, how dare you? 78.7. So close to the silver. One more attempt. Come on, Skip. All right. Punching that up, keep punching it up. I think this could be good. I wasn't using the brakes quite so much that time. We're definitely getting into the 80s. Silver confirmed. I'm happy with that. Did we get over 80? We'll soon find out. That'll do. That'll do. Gold feels more achievable when I look at that. I'm thinking, damn it, a few more attempts and I'd have that. So, from being disqualified in round 1, being just shy of silver in round 2, I find myself just kind of still on the lower end of reaching gold. 80.7, close to 81, which is close to 82, which would have been gold. But I'll take that. I'll take a silver. If I spend less time going, oh no, let's chase that gold down, I might be giving myself a slightly earlier bedtime. That's really what I'm focused on. Okay. Pirelli Hot Lap out of the way. It's another race weekend for us, folks. We're at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. A classic circuit, slightly modernised, taking advantage of the old baseball stadium and putting the track right through it. Some very fast bits, also, as you would have seen at the beginning of the Pirelli Hot Lap. A couple tight turns. Be interesting to get the setup right for this. And that's what practice is all about. So let's move on. Workstation. Oh, Mexico, you don't disappoint, do you? Look at that. Lovely, warm, sunny weather to see us through the whole weekend. None of this nonsense of, oh, one of your practice sessions is going to have at least half of it turned into absolute garbage because the conditions are not favourable. This is good. This helps. In the messages section, the usual basic preview from Francisco, also ranking himself over the Colts he is here. For the failure of the crankshaft and the front wing gurney flap. We've been having some issues with the factory. A major problem in production, and all the parts due this weekend have failed. Boo! Qualifying then, slightly overcast but dry. Mixed conditions on race day itself, but dry throughout is the précis, the cliff notes. The important thing, though, for us to look at right now is not this, but this. What we're looking at here is effectively what I raced with in the end last week. An internal combustion engine with 36% wear, an MGUK 35% wear, an MGUH 35% wear, Energy Store brand new, which caused the 10 grace penalty, a 10 place grid penalty. Yeah, just get your words out, Steve. That's the important thing. 31% on the turbocharger, 18 on the control electronics, 50. Let's hope this works out for us, folks. 57% on that gearbox. So, at least for practice 1, if not more, before a final get everything back together in a big push in practice 3. It's about extending the life of these greenest components by dropping back to something else and using that instead. So gearbox 3 and 4, we just need to lean on a little bit. So I'm going to go back to gearbox 3 here. It's already part of our set, so we're not going to get punished for it. One race in the energy store has that. No. So when you're looking at the left-hand portion, the overall wear is for the sum of the selected components. If you look to the right-hand side of the screen, that'll give you the details for these specific components. So only 37 laps and 3% wear for the latest energy store. But if we were to look at the overall package, then yeah, there we go. So ICE, MGUK, MGUH, right, so the K has a little bit more in it versus 35, versus 35, 36. I cannot put a whole bunch of sick components on at the same time, so I have to pick and choose quite smartly. Maybe pick some for this weekend, pick some others for next weekend, and deal with it that way. Maybe I'll leave the turbocharger alone. It's tricky to kind of juggle this stuff now. I wouldn't want both of those. So if one gearbox, we've got that. Energy store is fine. We could push through on this turbo, maybe. Just dropping the engine as well, actually. Save that. Okay, so ICE, MGUH, and gearbox 3. Should hopefully be it. I think this is the last race for the rivalry, as it's not been confirmed as one yet. 26 to 23. A very good outcome from last week's race has really helped to create that gap. It's been a lot closer between my teammate and myself. First to 30, or whoever is ahead, will take this rivalry. You know, chuff and well hope it's me. Right, so a few things sorted out in the drivetrain. Nothing else to do really, apart from move on to practice. We'll have race strategy, qualifying pace, and ERS management to come. That seems pretty rock solid. Probably use ERS management as kind of a pseudo track acclimatization as well. Yeah, let's go. It's just
it's time to remind ourselves of our top three, who are Verstappen, Norris, and Charles Leclerc. And that's it. Practice is officially over. Until next time, goodbye.
That was hard work. Practice 1 can be summed up as hard work. A lot of laps during that session. Some of it trying to satisfy the ERS practice program, while managing the harvesting and deployment of the battery wasn't really the problem. It was all about being significantly off the delta time. The opening portion of the lap, first sector, I found myself kind of 4 to 5 tenths in the green above delta. And then through the kind of the second half of sector 2 and through sector 3, that time just dropped off. The tricky mid-speed left-right kind of S's before the stadium section in particular is an area I was losing a significant amount of time. So there was some fiddling around with aero setup, more aero, less aero. Couldn't really gauge much success either way, while underneath it all there's this low-level fear that if I have a setup that means I'm losing too much time on the straights, I'm going to have a terrible race. So before the session was out, I kind of pulled everything back to the setup that was right at the beginning, pretty much the default with a couple of tweaks on differential and front brake bias. And I'll just have to make it work. Part of it may have been the aging components that I had decided to run with in the powertrain could have been detrimental. So when we go to practice 2, hopefully we'll be back on the newest of everything. And that will be one less variable we can kind of put to bed. And then it will really come down to I just struggling to find pace. Is there a particular area, or are there particular areas of the track that I've not quite got the braking or the carry-through speed or the apex quite right? I just need to work on that. Or is there an aero problem? I'm hoping it's not the last one, because I'm not sure I'll solve it. 1.5 seconds off ultimate pace here. I don't expect, to be fair, don't expect to be Max Verstappen fast, but Lando Norris being second fastest is a concern. Like, that McLaren is like impressively out of position there, second fastest, and I need to be close to my teammate, yes. But to hold on to my place in the driver's standings, that 5th place, I need to remain ahead of Lando. Lots still to figure out. And there I was thinking I was going to have a quick evening. Ha ha! If I wanted an easy time, I should have flipping well driven for Red Bull, right? Yep. Bad habits, this guy. Always seen a spicy nude on his iPad. He's just off to the gents. Taking your iPad with you, are you, eh? Wipe it all down. So, all of our components in practice 1, which we popped into old fart territory, they'll go back to the retirement home. And ICE4, MGUH4, Gearbox 5, all the green ones back into play. Hopefully, things will feel a little bit smoother and faster on that front. But it's harder than last week, where I came out of practice 1 at Circuit of the Americas and I thought there's 75-80% of this track which I'm comfortable with, And there's a few corners that I'm not, and I need to work on them. And I should be okay. But, like, I don't even have that level of confidence yet. So there's practice 2 is going to be crucial. We need to squeeze in race strategy as part of this as well. So the two things I need to really focus on in this one is, number one, does the car feel right? And then number 2, we have to get through the race strategy practice program in practice 2, the equivalent of doing a long run. Practice 3 will then be focused pretty much on qualifying pace. So a couple of big things to try and take care of in this next session. Fingers crossed.
The session has drawn to a close, so let's review our top 3. Perez, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye as free practice is over. However, we'll be back shortly for more Formula One action.
We're leaving the car alone now. For a brief time earlier on in the session, a 1:19.5 was the fastest lap. It was my fastest by some measure when I was doing, I think, as good as a 1:20.3 last time out. Newer components back on the powertrain helps, soft tyre helps. Just trying to build in that muscle memory, get the rhythm of some of these corners will help a little bit as well. The race strategy practice program worked out okay in the end, but the first couple of laps I was off the delta, which is a bit weird. The times lap on lap on lap in that particular program were remarkably consistent. In fact, the 5th and final lap was the fastest of the 5, which ended up being like a huge improvement on the delta at that point, because lap by lap that fades off. Not really the way I was expecting it to go. I think enough to say that you know, I did what I needed to do in that session. The car felt better. I've gone faster. I still feel like this will be a challenging race, though, in terms of I'm likely to make mistakes. Practice 3's coming up next. And that's all going to be about qualifying pace, where I really have to chuck the car about. And I'll use that to set me up for one-shot qualifying. So in terms of like how I'm going to be handling the car in the race, we've sort of got that bit managed now. Now it's about getting the best single lap performance, which is going to be interesting because yeah, there are some places where it's too easy to go too far offline, and that has lost me a few tenths and could do qualifying as well. Let's get back to the workstation, and I just want to check in with the state of that gearbox as well, by the way. That's something I need to be thinking about. Friday's running is done. Here we are, Saturday morning. Practice 3 is upon us. ICE for 38%. MGK, MGUH, both on 37. Energy store's fine. Turbocharger's fine. Control electronics, fine. 61% on that gearbox. That's got to see us through 2 more races. I'm worried. Gearbox 1, 2, and 3 are all toast. 4 potentially has a little bit of practice running in it. Maybe practice 1 at Brazil. There's Gearbox 5 now. I've been sitting here thinking, let's say 2 races, roughly 30 laps each, 60 laps. Add another 10, 12 per event for qualifying practice and one-shot qualifying. That's already going to put you like 310, 320. Which would suggest that gearbox is in trouble. Like, it's hard to see this getting through to the end of the 4th season. And then it occurs to me Brazil is a sprint event. So we lose a practice session, but we have a race. So there are 2 races next weekend. I don't think there's enough gearbox left for all of that. Where do I want to take the pain? If I have to change a gearbox, do I take that pain here? Or do I take it in Brazil? I really thought I was beyond this. But we need another gearbox. Which means we can push what we've got. And then gearbox 4 gets used up for 1 practice session. Gearbox 5 then becomes the practice gearbox, and gearbox 6 you use for your races. I hope we wouldn't have to do this, but I think we're going to have to. So yeah, when does this happen? Does this happen this evening, or does it happen next week? Do I want to take the penalty here? It's only 5 places, not 10 for a gearbox. Do I take that penalty here? Do I take that penalty in Brazil? I don't know where the penalty applies in Brazil, Whereas if you change it early enough, does it apply it in sprint, or does it still hang over until you get to the race? I'm going to fit it now. I'm going to fit it now. Practice 3. Qualifying pace, fresh gearbox. Let's see what happens.
And with all the cars now over the line, let's see our top 3 again. Dip, Norris and Kevin Magnussen. What an incredible practice session. The fun doesn't stop here though. Join us again as the rest of the weekend unfolds.
Was it incredible? Was it really? Present me the evidence, Alex Jakes. Gearbox change. 5-place grid penalty will be applied at race start, which means qualifying is very, very important. Pole position, kind of necessary. Fastest in practice 3, twice, because on the first attempt at qualifying practice, a 1:18.8. On the second, a 1:18.5. According to the team, a 1:18.8 was good enough for 13th. And a 1:18.5, only good enough for 9th. The target from them, what was it, 1:18.2 or 1:18.3? Wasn't that far off. Difficult to know what to expect in qualifying itself. A slight, ever so slight tweak. Just 2 clicks down on both the front and rear wings. Just to help out on the straight line speed, just a little bit. And it has made the car a little bit more skittish through some of the other turns. I'm going to be managing that now for the rest of the weekend. Practice is over. Times got better. I got faster. I still feel like there are going to be plenty of mistakes made on race day. The qualifying comes next. Okay. Teammate, as always, does better than me. Because he's bloody Lewis Hamilton. Of course he's going to do super great in practice. Stay on the racing line all the way through. That's a decent shift on driver acclaim, I'll accept that, thank you. Workstation, qualifying, messages. Oh, the manager. Not even a photo on the profile, saying the same thing she always does. This leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Chief Engineer Mark, Has this to say, Mexico has a reputation of being a fast track like Monza, but honestly I never remember it for that. It's a bunch of straights broken up mainly by chicanes at Monza. That's definitely not the case here. It doesn't feel like that to drive, let me tell you that much. It has tricky technical sections, if you like, IPA, which are going to be tough to get right with reduced downforce, which is correct. 4, 5, 6 complex. You have to treat 6 as a double apex corner, which is true. And wheel spin through the stadium section. That is also correct. You've seen on the exit of the stadium section, on that long right-hander onto the start from the straight, the amount of times that I've got a little bit greedy on the power, spun those rear wheels up, and cars wanted to turn a lot more than I had planned. I can still swap components back. Actually, at this point, no, I can't. Oh, now apparently I have won my rivalry against Lewis. That's been baked in. Because of Parc Fermé conditions. Once practice 3 is complete, whatever is installed on the car has to be installed on that car for the rest of the weekend. I can't undo the penalty that I took. Qualifying then. I'll get the prediction all set up. I think we're probably looking at very similar numbers as before, but let's get that build-up sorted. Shouldn't have had that second Battenberg slice. Qualifying. Time to place your bets on what you think the outcome of this qualifying session will be. This time, unlike the last couple, only 5 places instead of 10, which is nice. I'd like to have that pole position today. I won't be dropping back as dramatically, but I still want to be as far forward on the grid as I possibly can. But the penalties only get applied prior to race start. They don't figure into qualifying position at this point. Qualifying on the Saturday, you can spend the rest of the day thinking, yeah, I did really well, and only really have to worry about disappointment come Sunday. So what you're gambling on here is the qualifying position with no penalties applied. Okay, so if it ends up being as glorious as a pole position, it's pole that'll count. Hope I've made that as clear as possible. Yet again, the specific bet button is not working. Yay! So the specific text that I use, can't flip and use it. I'll tell you what I'll do. It's got to be the announce thing, right? So if I took that off and then gave it another go. Yeah, there it is. But it doesn't have the fancy presentation anymore. It's just basic. 2 minutes. Qualifying predictions start right now. In Mexico. Where will I qualify? Pole position? Don't know. Fastest in practice 3 doesn't necessarily mean fastest in qualifying. Positions 2 to 6, somewhere in the top 6, something that I like to aim for where at all possible. 7 to 10, the rest of the front half of the field. or a little bit more unfortunate and somewhere a little bit further back. Positions 11 to 20. It's up to you how much you wish to gamble, but I do encourage people to get involved. You don't have to put down a lot. You can if you like. At the moment, we've got one person who's put down 1,000 on poll. What if you were the person who put down 10 or 20 on something a bit further down, and you ended up being the lucky one? You'd win all of their engagements. And then all of a sudden, you could feel marginally lucky. About 3/4 of a minute left to go. Please, please, please place your bets. And I will get myself kind of in qualifying mode here. Nothing else to do. The car setup's there. It's locked in. Soft tyres. Everything turned up. The lightest fuel load possible. A 1:18.5 was the fastest time in practice. So no slower than that, really, in this session. Okay, that's that. Let me get all back over here. Now, one-shot qualifying. What I've been trying to do with one-shot qualifying is do the full lap with no flashbacks. If things are an absolute disaster, I will restart the entire lap, but during the course of that lap, there will be no flashbacks, right? So start to finish experience. There's been a couple of times this year where I've been able to do one-shot qualifying in one shot. Miracles can happen. Betting window is closed. Good luck to those of you who have placed down the engagements. It's time to go to track. Starts to appear ahead, that's bad news. Wherever it ends up, it's going to end up being close. What have we got?
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done.
Oh, shut up. Whoa. That must have been so close.
Qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Kip, Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid line up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then. What will no doubt be a fantastic race.
That ghost kept just appearing ahead, dropping back, appearing ahead again. I was so focused on the track ahead, where the next braking point was, exactly when to turn. I wasn't aware of anything else apart from, is that ghost ahead or not? I couldn't see numbers, anything. Pole position was all that I needed. It didn't need to be by a massive margin like last week. It can be 100th of a second. 15 thousandths of a second. Whatever you like. The record will show. It was a pole position. It was very close though. A 1:18.0, okay? A 1:18.5 was the fastest in practice 3. There was a target, I think, of a 1:18.2. Oh, I'm about to die. A 1:18.2 or a 1:18.3. And it's a 1:18.0. Charles Leclerc very close behind. Lewis Hamilton, my teammate, a 1:18.1, who himself was only 2 thousandths of a second faster than Sergio Perez. The top 6, Lando Norris has managed to sneak himself in there. I don't know what kind of a day Max Verstappen's having, but he's down in 8th. But the top 6, 3 tenths. One person place their bets. They place down 1,000. They get them back. It was Guinea Fan. Well done. Faith Haver. But that was touch and go. That really was touch and go. I think that was probably a bit exciting to watch. It's very stressful to drive. Qualifying in the bag. The race next.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
Right kicking. I think we'll be less likely to see many other drivers up top taking penalties. This could be a genuine shuffle back in the order. Only 5 places, not 10. Good race out there today, says Mark. I'm sure you'll do just fine. Whatever happens, remember that there's only one thing in the world that truly matters. Beating Lewis. Might be difficult today. But there could be a cookie. Hey. Racing drivers there. Here we go. I don't think in this view it says what my current contract is, but you know I'm worth a bit, and yet they're just going to throw a cookie at me. Not sure about that. I need to check my contract. If my manager gave more of a shit, she'd be on it. Here comes the race, folks. A bit of the old pre-race build-up. We like that, don't we? Here it comes. You know, eventually, it will be there, I promise.
It's time then for the Mexico City Grand Prix, a race which gave Honda their first ever victory in 1965. American Richard Ginter winning from 3rd on the grid, and what of the Honda-powered cars this year? Red Bull have been strong here in recent seasons. Can they keep that record going today? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6 mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position.
Lie.
Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Norris, Dip, and Verstappen. Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Valtteri Bottas. Magnussen, they've taken a grid penalty. Joe, Alex Albon, and Gasly. Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher.
Okay, there were a lot of penalties.
Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi
and Leclerc all the way to the back.
Order. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
We're in a good position for the Constructors' title. There are 3 races left, so we need some good results.
Don't I know it? First, so it dropped down to 5th. Charles Leclerc drops all the way to the back. So to have dropped all the way to the back would mean you have had to change a component in parc fermé conditions. One less Ferrari to worry about, I suppose. It'll be an interesting strategy for them. My teammate, therefore, shares the front row with Sergio. Carlos and Norris share row 2, and I'm on row 3 with Max. Now, Max has very good starts, and Fernando Alonso is just behind. So a lot of trouble in the first few corners of lap 1, I think. Kind of lucky here. We can see what kind of strategy people are playing at. Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz going to be doing the reverse here, starting on the hards, finishing on the mediums. Now, think back to last week. I started 8th. Did the same strategy as those cars around me. Medium, hard. Did the business on track. Charged forward. Bearing that in mind when looking at the race strategy. Very, very similar to what we've seen before. The default projected strategy is you can pretty much split it in the middle with a medium tyre to start and a hard tyre to finish. The alternate strategy, a 2-stopper, starting with a soft and running the rest of the race out on a couple of sets of medium tyres. These are the projected ones. We have done the race strategy practice program. Does that make much of a difference? I would probably say no. One and a half seconds faster, and I can afford to run a little bit longer on the medium tyre under default strategy. Alternate strategy? No change at all, less tyre wear, and close to 2 seconds faster than the projected, but still 3.5 seconds slower than the default. Then this is what we do. I think it's as simple as that. We look at that strategy and we go, fine, I'll take it. I would imagine The other two cars ahead, starting on the hards, finishing on the mediums, are thinking they can stay out longer on the hard tyres and have a shorter stint on the mediums and get more life out of them. It's not for me. It's not for me. When you are racing other people around you on those medium tyres, your best bet is to be on the same tyre as them. We saw in the Netherlands earlier on this year what happens if you try and do the opposite. And you're not working miracles. They have a massive gap by the time it gets to the pits, and you never close up after. We are doing this. So that leaves us with another bet. So get ready, because it's gamble time. It's a 5-minute gamble on the outcome of today's race. From fifth on the grid. Where in Mexico will I finish? Is a podium possible today? If it was achievable last week from 8th, there's no reason why it couldn't be achievable from 5th. It's a long race, it's over 30 laps. The laps are shorter than they were in Texas last time out. I think, however, a combination of the much lower downforce and tyre wear will make certain parts of this race quite challenging to manage. I think we're looking at the same the same betting order as before, as we've done for the last couple of races at least. So here we go. Get yourself ready. 5 minutes. Where will I finish? A podium finish. Positions 4 to 8. Positions 9 to 13. Or positions 14 to 20. I have an absolute nightmare. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't know. I hope I can get stuck in and have a good race, but I've got to get through the first few corners, let alone the first lap, to really know what I'm in store for. I'm going to leave that gamble with you. It's time for the pre-race P. I will do that straight away. And then when I come back, 36, I think it was 36 laps, and probably about 3/4 of an hour to an hour of racing coming up. So let's not muck about. I will be back in a few moments. Back. Got something tickling the back of my throat. So I'm going to be having unexpected coughing coming up. That's going to be fun. No one bet. No bets. Fine. I've got to commit to the bit anyway. One minute, I'll run it again. 1 minute. Qualified pole, starting the race in 5th. From 5th, in this here race, where will I finish? Can we push forward to the podium? Positions 4 to 8, positions 9 to 13, or somewhere further back? Okay. That's going to be real fun trying to manage this cough, because it's one of those where there's something irritating the back of my throat. I get this every now and then, and anytime I talk, it's going to want to turn into a cough. So that's going to be a bit unfun for everyone. But here I am, having to make it work. I'm a professional, I'll rise above it. Okay, bet window is closed. We've had some people gamble this time, thank you very much. Right, it's really getting on, so no more fooling around. I just need to get stuck in. 5th on the grid. Would like to charge forward as much as I can, but there are some fast, aggressive, talented drivers surrounding me at the moment, so it's not going to be easy. Hello, Nick. Welcome on in. Let's get this race started. Formation lap first.
Okay, how was that pull away? You'll have a bit more grip than that on the start, but we need to warm the tyres properly now. Make sure you get some heat into the brakes as well.
Go then. The lightest of touches. I'm doing a full formation lap and you're going to like it.
We're still in with a chance to win the Constructors' title, so let's make this happen in the last 3 races.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right, let's get the car up to temperature on this lap, please. We're learning the gears, so let's go through them all if you can. No threat of rain for the time being. Conditions look good.
It's good to know. No punting. That's better. Fun. Oh yes, parking. Yes. What? Where's the beep 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 beep? Where's the beep beep?
Okay, so not an ideal parking spot.
What?
Let's try and get a good launch upon the race start.
Where was the beep beep?
Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient. Watch for those lights.
There was no beep beep. I don't know. Anyways. Something went weird. Norris. Where's Norris? The grid slot is empty over there. What? It's empty. Okay, so the game has done a weird. And either it's going to sort itself out, or we're stuck like this forever. Oh no, there he goes. Time to call this. Wait. Pretty good start that. It's gonna get messy here though. That was sixth, as suspected. Take advantage of the confusion. Up to third. Don't know where that came from. I'm gonna happily run with it. Staying ahead of Norris is ideal. He is closing, and there's no DRS there, right? So that tells you something about his setup. Where his strengths and weaknesses will be. chasing that gap to Norris in the infield. Definitely catch up. Coming up round here.
DRS
Fastest
has been
lap.
enabled this lap. We can use DRS
121.4.
when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and it's DRS zone.
Excuse me. Norris is a bit further back this time. The question is can I make progress and catch up with Perez? DRS is coming up. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. Make Perez nervous. Now we've got it. Yay! Norris has got closer. Drifted further back from Perez. Do you have DRS? That's going to help a lot. It's difficult getting through there. Good to stay close to Sergio. Close. That's a good gap there.
We're currently trailing our teammate by 3.4 seconds.
That's fine. Close in on Perez here. We've come closer this time. He's going to want to defend here, isn't he? No. Sneak up on the inside on 4. Second place, but I'm going to hold on to that. Now, Perez is on hard tyres. Therefore expect to be out longer than us medium running drivers. But it's a slower tyre as well, so he's already dropped back quite a bit. Podium finish on the cards. Can hold this all together. Long way to go though. And Lewis Hamilton is 3 seconds ahead, although I am slowly closing up to him. Very wide through all of those. Terrible run through those corners. wants Sergio to close up, and if Sergio's closing up, the rest of the cars he's holding up are closing up as well. Driver behind.
Perez is behind you. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 5 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1 minute 22.7.
We're maintaining gaps here at the moment. I don't have DRS. Look at the closing speed from Sergio here. Driver in front.
Lewis is ahead of you, and gap to the car in front is 3.3 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 6 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:21.9. All right, you're falling back by 1/10 a lap.
Not terrible. A lot of concentration. Very challenging, tricky circuit this. Fastest lap. Fastest sector 2. Within 2 seconds to him now. Increased the gap to Perez by quite a bit. That's a little of column A and column B with him, I think. It's not just maybe my pace, but it's also his. Maybe he's having to defend quite vigorously. Hold it together. Go on. Shout for corner cutting. 1.5 now to Lewis. That's all right. That was close to the wall. I lost a second to my teammate. This is sloppy. I think, with your permission, I think I will do that. Too slow coming out of turn 3. It's far too slow. Going to allow Sergio to close the gap too, right? Wonk. Goodbye, Ballard. 2.3 now to Lewis. Let's get a full race update.
Okay, you sat in P2, and that's Lewis ahead. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 2.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. Perez behind. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 1.8 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Your pit window will be open in 7 laps time. 27 laps to go.
Oh, it's a long old race. It's a lot of mistakes that can be made. Tyre status.
Tyre condition still looking good.
Fastest sector 3, there's still some hope. Still possibilities for improvement.
Okay, there's a fault with the DRS. You will not be able to open the rear wing. We're working on a fix. Stay out for now.
Disappointed. I could really do with it. As long as I'm more than a second back from my teammate, I don't need it. But I like to have it. Because it won't be long and I will need it. Especially when I pit. That will shake the order up. And I'll need it to probably both attack and defend. Seconds. It's kind of expanding and contracting that gap. Definitely don't feel like I've got the same level of grip I did at the beginning of this race. There's a lot more vibration coming through the controller. Again.
Okay, be aware, the grip levels are going to start falling away soon.
Vehicle condition.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
No update on the DRS then. Sort it out, man. Slowly getting closer. Two now. Driver ahead.
Perez is behind you. Our gap
That's not what I
behind
said, is it?
4.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Their tyres are 12 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 22.0.
Driver in front.
Lewis is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 1.2 seconds. They're on old
Yes, mate.
mediums. Their tyres are 13 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:22.1. This is great stuff. We're gaining by 3 tenths a lap. Good
Ooh,
work.
fancy pants. Those grip levels are falling off, mind you. Hold that one together. Just felt like if I turned any sharper, I was going to lose the rear.
We're approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time.
Anywhere from lap 17. Be interesting to see if I could make these tyres last a couple of laps longer. If it could help me press an advantage. I would expect Lewis would pit first, as he started ahead. Left in particular was in some serious pain. The gap has extended a little bit to Lewis. Does he come in this lap? Stays out. Lap 17 for me, we're on lap 16 now. Still maintaining the gap to Lewis here, 1.2. Really be careful applying the throttle. In particular are right on the bubble.
Okay, the gap behind is 4.9 seconds.
And Lewis is in the pits. Right, here we go. Need a push lap.
Okay, Lewis is in for his stop. We're going to box this lap and push hard on the in-lap.
Terrible run through there. want to stay out an extra lap. I don't know if that's sensible. I'm gonna do it. Box this lap.
Right, let's have you in at the end of this lap, please.
Perez has basically been able to hold everybody up behind him. I think I can get one more push lap out of this car. Here we go. Into the pits. This is it. No problems, please. Come on, let's go.
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Perez, Sainz, the two hard tyre runners who started this race are now ahead. That makes sense. Lewis Hamilton.
Pit strategy complete. These tyres through to the end now.
Okay. Let's chase him down. Struggle with the tyres. Still need to push on them. Net second, because the two frontmost cars need to pit. Got the car on soft tyres. Verstappen, so he's on a very aggressive strategy to make up places. He is less than 4 seconds behind. Now we can't run on those for very long. Terrible first lap there. So we must be doing a middle stint on soft tyres. It's now 2.6.
You're now running in third, P3.
Yep, Perez is in the pits. Sainz is still hanging out. Verstappen 2.2 seconds behind. It's going to get pretty spicy with him
and the
soon.
gap behind us is 2.2 seconds.
I need to know some more information about his tyres. Driver behind.
Didn't receive that. Repeat the message. Repeat the
For God's
message.
sake, mate. Make me repeat it while I'm having to deal with this section.
Yellow flag.
Out. Driver behind.
Verstappen behind you now. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 2.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 5 laps old. We think they've got one more stop.
Right,
Your last
he'll be
lap
on
time
mediums.
was 1 minute 19.9.
Just need to keep him behind. He'll have to pit. They were really fresh soft tyres, then could be in big trouble, but maybe, just maybe, I can survive this. Driver in front.
And that's Lewis ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 3.5 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, they got 4 laps on their tyres, and the time last lap was a 1:21.4.
Driving here a bit. Survive a couple more laps, that might just be enough. .7.
Sainz is in the pits.
There we go. Okay, so order is restored. Lewis Hamilton leads, and I'm in second place.
You've lost some time to the car behind.
Yep. Well aware of that. Know why. Whoops. Blatant cutting in the corner. Catch up with Lewis. Verstappen will do fast car on soft tyre things. I have to be more concerned about closing the gap ahead. Still got a problem with the rear? No. So DRS is back in action. Just need to get close enough to a car to use it. Still 3 seconds to Hamilton. Verstappen now within a second. He will probably get me on the start-finish straight. Unless he pits, he pits! Oh, I survived! Oh, Perez, medium tyres. 1.9, 1.8 seconds behind. He's going to be a bit scary. But again, eyes on my teammate ahead. Try and close that gap down. 2.6 now to Lewis. Lap 23 of 36, a long way to go here. I actually was freaking out because I thought that was a warning about corner cutting. I'll take a safety car.
Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace.
So this is worrying, actually, because it will mean, even though I am able to catch up with Lewis, there are going to be cars, softer tyres, fresher softer tyres, who are right up behind. It says welcome to the chat room. Have we had a problem with the stream? No problem. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, safety car. So Perez and Sainz now closing the gap behind. So when this safety car pulls away and we're back under race conditions, they're going to be a lot closer than they otherwise would have been. Since we've had a safety car. We've had a few retirements and yellow flag zones, which we haven't had to worry too much about. Starting to lose temperature in the rear tyres. Whether it was for a retired car, there was like some debris or something. Way earlier, 5 had a network disconnect. Tyres are cooling off. Full race update.
Second place, you're in second place. Lewis is ahead of you. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Perez behind. Okay, the gap is less than a second. They're on fresh mediums. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
No extra context. Uh-oh. So, lap 26 now of 36. Lights on the safety car are still flashing, no indication yet that this safety car period is over and done with.
Safety car in.
I was just flipping through the MFD thinking, oh, this will take a little while. And then lights go off. Crunch. There it is, there it is. Right, Lewis is now setting the pace. no DRS on the opening lap. Wait for Lewis to put his foot down. Here it goes. Get close to him.
Okay, clear.
Yes, man! Woo! Let's pick it up from here, come on. Alright. We need to be line astern because we've got a Red Bull. On very fast tyres. Oh, damn it. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Use your overtake button more. It's time to utilise some of this energy. Come on.
Tyres are still coming up to temperature here. Right. Clean, 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 clean. Let's go. Tyres are not up to temperature. Careful how much you push. Let's pick it up from here. It's going to be a very difficult end to this race now because the two cars that started on the hard tyres are now on the soft tyres, and they've been able to catch up under that safety car period. Lewis is now 2.6 seconds ahead, so that's been a woeful opening lap from me to allow him to have that much of a gap. I needed to be much closer, so when DRS becomes activated again, it helps protect against the cars behind who will also have it. What a corner cutting here. Not my best driving. DRS is back.
DRS is now enabled.
Sainz and Perez, thankfully, more than a second behind, but Lewis is increasing that gap. I have to focus on closing that gap. A race win does not look likely here, but a podium finish could be, but it needs to be protected. It is not a sure bet. Oh, has something happened? Oh, there's a raid. Oh, not while I'm racing. Oh, thank you very much. I'm in a period of very stressful racing here at the moment. Allow me a moment to pause. Flipping heck, let me pause. Right. Ah! What's happened? A party of 25? Are you joking? That's a big number. Thank you, everybody. FTR. I wouldn't even know. Espinala? Would that be right? We've got flipping emotes here. First time chats all over the place. Holy cow! This is huge. Thank you so much. I should probably do the thing, right? You know, the thing that you know, the good people do. Like that. An F122 stream yourself. Okay, that's nice. We found like-minded family here. Then welcome on in, everybody. Spin Arla. I see. Thank you. Close enough. Close enough. How was F1 for you today? Big question. Okay, so let me catch you up on what has happened this evening. So I'm a decent way through F122 career mode. I do a race weekend in an evening. We kind of get through the practice sessions, one-shot qualifying, 50% distance race. Exclamation mark F1, by the way, for the settings I've got. No wheel, nothing like that. Where we found ourselves is had to take a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change, pole position, drop back to 5th. Fell back in the first lap to about 6th. Managed to pull back over a series of laps to 2nd place behind my teammate Lewis Hamilton. I and several other cars around had started on the mediums and would switch over to these to the hards mid-race. There were 2 drivers in particular who did the opposite. And due to a recent safety car, they are now right behind me. Perez and Sainz are on medium tyres while I am on hards, and I'm a bit too far away from Lewis ahead to benefit from the DRS to kind of mitigate. So it's a bit it's a bit scary at the moment, and I've got maybe 5 or 6 laps in the race left to go. So I'm hoping for a podium finish. It would be good for the driver's for my position in the driver's standings, but it is not a sure thing yet. You had your weekly community race. Excellent. Was insane at the end. How long do you kind of have those races for? When I've seen people do like online lobby stuff, they tend to be quite short. No one's really going for the kind of the marathon style thing. I don't know how many people are doing insane stuff like me doing a 50%. If any of you are aware of Craig Me Up, when he was racing in F1 games, he'd do a full distance race. Absolute mad lad. But he did have the kit for it, right? 50%. Hey, that's pretty good actually. Nice. Friday nights are 100% races for people who want the realistic feeling. Absolute gluttons for punishment. I love it. More power to you all. I've got a race to finish. I hope you don't mind if I go back to it. But there's been a whole bunch of you, FTR heads who have dropped in. Thank you all. Eager Dolphin, Jamie, Snesquicks, delicious. Which flavour? Chocolate? Strawberry? Mr. Bagusi, Jessiman, FTR official, of course, Espion, Spinella, Mr. Yard, Drake, IXR Blue, Pizarro 23, Harley Bracken, and Will. Thank you all for hanging out with the raid and not disappearing straight away, and for all the lovely follows. That's been such a boost. I don't know about you. I think the last few months, Twitch numbers has been really hard, like harder than it's been for some time. Not that I'm obsessed with that stuff, but sometimes it's nice to see it go up. So thank you very much for that. Right. I've had a bit of a cough this evening as well, so I might sound a bit wheezy on mic. I hope that doesn't disgust anybody. Excuse me. Right. Okay. A few laps left. I think I can hang on, but I'm not sure. And when the panic sets in, then I could probably make a lot more mistakes. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, by the way, don't check chat and drive, right? So, you know what it's like playing this. It requires a lot of concentration. I'll at the corner of my eye, I'll have a look every now and then. But if I don't get back to you straight away, yeah, I think you know why. Okay, let's go. Where am I? Hopefully not in a terrible place where I'm going to lose my shit straight away. Oh no, that's good actually. Okay, Carlos Sainz 6/10 behind and closing because, you know. Oh, I've got the overtake on that whole time. What a waste. Okay, he'll have DRS again. I'm going to have to think about defensive. There's not much option for him here, though. If I can get a reasonable drive out. Oh, got greedy. Now it's going to get greasy. It's going to DRS again. Going to take a look on the inside. We don't want that. Going to be the hardest bit. What are we on now? Lap 31 of 36. It's right in the zone. He's destined to go fully past before we get to the corner. Can't really beat him on brakes here. I've allowed Sergio to close up. This is rough. And Lewis is nearly 5 seconds ahead. They fall off the podium. Oh, I could have collected him and then that would have been terrible. I'm not shy about flashbacks in situations like this. God. It's got bad, yeah, he's got me. DRS, easy peasy. Okay. I think I might have just saved my own bacon there. Jeez. Perez and Norris are now crazy close to each other and are battling it together. It takes the pressure off me because they're fighting each other. But that was a very scrappy lap. Best thing to happen would be Perez and Norris take each other out. Oh, and Norris has dropped back. Uh-oh. Has he been collected? So Perez behind.
Caution.
We've got a car slowing. Hamilton. Lewis, he's got a problem. Uh-oh. Well, that brings me back into a podium spot, but I mean, I don't think that's going to be an indication that I'm going to have a problem with my powertrain, because it's actually not too bad today.
Lewis has stopped the car. His race is over.
Yes, that's good for me, isn't it?
Green flag.
Lord that over him. Right, second place. Perez now just over a second behind. I don't think I'll be catching up with Carlos. Oh boy. Yeah, look away. Absolutely no problem.
And that's just 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Looks like Lewis has been recovered. Ah, too wide. Oh boy. That's allowed Sergio to close up again, and we'll have DRS. Just need to make his life difficult through the stadium. It's closer. Super bollard. Just rattling away for ages. Right, okay, Perez has got me. I've got no answer to him. He has to choose one side. That's fine. Cannot drop back any further. I need that podium finish. 34 of 36. Oh no, Leclerc's another flipping medium tyre runner. Keep it clean through here. At least I get DRS from Perez, that's something. Too deep. It's going to get sweaty. Same problem. Exactly the same problem as the last lap. So much pace.
Try to stay with them. They might make a mistake and we could still regain the position.
Bump! Crunch! Elbows out.
Right, we've got enough fuel for 3 more laps.
Right. Don't have to worry about fuel. We don't have to worry about tyres. We just have to... Well, maybe I have to worry about grip a little bit. But I'm going to redo that. That was a shit show. I picked the wrong time. I made it worse. Oh, he's got past me, you smelly man. No, 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 no. No. I actually made it worse.
Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
This is it. Exactly the same as last time. steal the apex from him and hope that that's enough for the rest of the lap. It's the difference between getting a podium and not. Perez is too far ahead. Massive cutting there. He's got DRS again. He's going to try and get it. I need to do what I've done to Perez a few times. Blows him off. Make him think twice about his actions. Now it's just a case of surviving enough through here. Leclerc could be defending against Alonso. Podium's going to do very nicely.
Nice work, mate. You did really well today. I think the boss is going to be happy with that one.
Not just victory today then, but the championship as well. What a spectacular season they've had. And congratulations to the whole team. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again. So let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Some amazing talent out there on track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Charles Leclerc showed exactly how to manage yourself out on the track today. He was almost flawless out there. Incredible stuff.
The Constructors' Championship may be a foregone conclusion at the moment, but regardless, let's look at the standings. So then, Ferrari have now moved out of sight and out of reach. It's another triumph for the Italian team as they claim the World Constructors' Championship.
Yeah.
It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
I'm knackered. I knew that was going to be a difficult race. What I didn't anticipate was a prolonged safety car period that would allow those drivers on alternate strategies to close the gap. Everything that I'd done in the opening phase of that lap just chucked in the bin. Worthless. Didn't do particularly well on the safety car restart, even though I was quite close to Lewis as he pulled away. The stuff that was happening behind was so distracting, plus the tyres, hard tyres, not fully up to temperature. Made that first lap really, really difficult. By which point, Lewis was too far ahead for me to nick DRS off him once that became available again. And all about having to keep my eyes in the mirrors. Charles Leclerc then, who took a massive penalty, had to start from the back. I guess after breaching Parc Ferme, right, and having some component changes. On one stop, get from 20th up to 4th. I would watch his race all the way through. That must have been incredible. A lot of that would have been all down to like a gangbusters start, for sure. Let's pay out on the prediction. It was very close to not being a podium finish. I mean, we are talking. In the end, we're talking 8/10. But there was some very rude driving in the last couple of laps. Incredibly rude. The most impolite driving you've ever seen, even more than last week. But it is a podium finish. 15 championship points. Yes, please, and thank you. So all of you who placed your bets, had put them on a podium finish, you get your investment back. So no misery on that front today. Oh, we need to check out the results, don't we? Lots to think about here. Carlos Sainz then, from 3rd on the grid, takes the win. Sergio Perez from 2nd, stays 2nd. And yours truly, Skip, gets that podium finish. From 5th on the grid up to 3rd. Now, a lot of what ifs. Lewis had some kind of mechanical failure and had to retire in the dying laps of that race. It would have been difficult to imagine him actually taking the race win, all things considered. Would that have meant that both Mercedes actually could have dropped off the podium? Because Leclerc was really chasing. We'll check over the race director and the standings and stuff in good time, but first, let's look at those highlights. One of the rare occasions where I got a reasonable start. There wasn't too much wheel spin. Had a good one. I imagined he would do. Big bullying into one. Getting Max nervous. Coming up to 4. I think that might have just about been contact free. There was a good old bump though, right? Was that more curb than me? I think that was more riding the curb than anything. That's fine. There's going to be some close ones coming up, I think. Lap 1, not much really happens. Lap 26. Okay. Things were kind of going on okay, to be honest. But yeah, this was the difference maker today. This closed the gap. Perhaps arguably prematurely, right? Here's the race restart. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty rude. And I cannot imagine for a second that we all come out of this with fully intact front wings, right? Even if there's a little bit of superficial damage. I've charged in. I did this move a few times towards the end of the race here. We're coming quite hot, so there's a little touch with Lewis up ahead. He's corrected himself already, so he hasn't lost out too much by it. I think I probably have a little rough time through 2 and 3. Because I've screwed up my own line. Door firmly closed on Perez. Ended up that I don't think there was contact with Carlos, but I gave him very little track. And there's my adrenaline fueled panicky stare. And away we go. Not a great camera angle for showing the cars chasing behind there, but sure, whatever. But there's already, you know, a bit of a gap to Lewis up front, which I could have done without. Lap 29, it's extended. I get very close to the wall, makes things a bit messy for everybody. But it probably means I'm not under as much pressure. I expect this will be another stupid mistake. No, that's, yeah, me taking down the bollard. Panic sets in, lap 33. Not the best highlights package, to be honest. I think there was probably a little bit else we could have seen in there, especially in the first phase. Never mind. Race director, right? So Sainz, Perez, Leclerc all started on the hard tyres. So what's interesting about that? Again, it was we know it was a one-stop, but we'll check the lap that Charles pitted. But I'm guessing he must have stayed out quite a while on the hards, just to wait out other people who were taking their stops first. Daniel Ricciardo, something a little different. Two-stopper, medium, hard, medium. I wonder if circumstances caused him to have to come back to the pits. Now, where's Max? Because there was because there was a period of time here where I was really worried about Max Verstappen. Oh my God, he's on the softs. It won't last long, but he could still cause some trouble and overtake me. Didn't work out well for him at all. From 6th all the way down to 16th. A two-stop proved to be more costly for him than it was for Ricciardo. And Gasly and Lewis. DNFs now. Okay. Oh my God. Max Verstappen, the villain of the piece, look. Oh, by the way, big trouble me. Right. Collision with Leclerc, lap 35. Got a warning for that. I also had 2 warnings early on for exceeding track limits. Max Verstappen on lap 23. A severe collision with Ricciardo, which probably caused Ricciardo to have an additional stop. And illegal blocking. 10-second time penalty, which was then added to his race time at the end. Because that was after his pit stop, and if you can't serve the time penalty in the pits, it can get added to your race time at the end. That explains why Max has dropped further down in the official result. That coming together with Carlos there, lap 27. That was his fault. Yay! Tough day at the office though for Lewis Hamilton. Mechanical failure on lap 32 results in a DNF for him. Max and Yuki then, the first of the pit stops, going from medium to hard. Hamilton on 16, he was ahead of me. He started the race ahead of me, so yes, he would pit first. I was due to come in on 17, but extended to 18. Nice quick stop there with a 2.396. So Leclerc did wait it out, but not really any different from the others. Perez 19, Sainz 21. Yeah, and Daniel Ricciardo came in front wing, so that's why he had the extra stop. So he was the only one, I think, who had a 2-stopper not due to the strategy. Okay. To get a better picture of what's going on. Cool. Standings. I have finished ahead of Norris, so mission accomplished in that respect. That is the podium finish, by the way. Very nice. Happy to have that. But really, the thing is, finishing ahead of Lando Norris, because that means I have increased the gap to him in the driver's standings. Carlos Sainz, though, did have a good day at the office, and he was the next person for me to chase, except Carlos Sainz is now 3rd in the driver's standings with 259 points. Lewis Hamilton, due to that DNF, it's cost him big time. 255. Skip 225. So it's still dangerously close to Norris. Like, if I have a bad race and he has a good one. And don't forget, Brazil, sprint and feature race. So there'll be a lot more points kicking around next weekend. It's really important that I stay ahead of him if I want to hold on to 5th. Charles Leclerc is in a situation where he's pretty much nailed on, I'd think, to become the driver champion in Brazil next week. It's a big enough gap between him and Verstappen with very little time left that it's going to be difficult. Verstappen did not help himself today in that respect. And it's official. Ferrari are the F1 22 Constructor Champions. Been a good year for them. Things were close with Red Bull earlier on in the season, but Ferrari have managed to pull away with it. And those gaps are quite considerable. Maybe, very unlikely, Red Bull have an absolute shocker over the next 2 race weekends, and maybe Mercedes can take 2nd. I think that's highly unlikely, but the 3rd is at least very well protected. There is a big gap. Over 200 points, in fact, to McLaren in 4th, and as mentioned in commentary, through a bit of AlphaTauri bad luck and some good fortune for Haas, they find themselves 6th. every team with at least 1 point to their name. It was Kevin Magnussen, in fact, scoring points in the Haas, finishing 6th. Good for them. You're right, we did miss that that last lap double crunch. It got very impolite. That was very hard going, but also kind of fun. I was worried about this one. Worried that I'd got the setup wrong, worried that I couldn't kind of hold it together and I'd make too many mistakes, and I did make plenty of mistakes. Very difficult to stay on the racing line, but did just enough today for that podium finish. I'm happy with that, and I will take that away. 2 more race weekends to go. Kind of excited to get it all wrapped up, to be honest. But yeah, Brazil's going to be a beast because of that sprint. Up to 14. Oh, you absolute git! So close. Anymore. Hooray! The last little bits of R&D have been completed. Very pleased about that. Thankfully, no one in engineering needs a problem solved. It's looking a lot clearer now, isn't it? Slightly bigger gap there between Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari on that performance chart. But we have done a lot to close that gap, considering that Mercedes for, what are we looking at, the first 5 races really was well off. And of course I had my own nightmares in Baku and Monaco, which thankfully are deep in history now. It did make the opening part of the season really, really tough. But you know, we've seen a nice little run there. A few first places, a tough time in Hungary. An okay time in Italy. Singapore was actually quite a surprise. Japan was frustrating. There were ill-advised penalties, I think, taken at that point. But even though at Circuit the Americas and in Mexico, there have had to have been additional grid penalties due to adding components into the mix. The setup has been such that recovering from those penalties has been possible. So powertrain, that was something that failed that I probably will not be recommissioning, because in terms of the life of this season, which isn't there isn't much point. There's now 4,253 development points, which can then start going into recovering things in the chassis. Where would I like to claim these from? The big suggestion here is the roll down piece. I'm imagining it's because it's one of the higher cost items, right? So adapt that. What's next? Engine cover? I'll just go with the suggestions here, I think. Quite a bit of like the actual underside of the chassis is, I would imagine, quite critical. So we'll do engine cover. Yep, nose cone makes sense. Crucial parts here. Do we get to squeeze in rear floor under tray as well, or have you gone for something else? Fuel tank positioning. I'm tempted to go for under tray though. We've got more points coming up, right? So there we go. Some things protected for the non-existent future I'll be having in this game. A very quick look then, where we find ourselves in with the whole powertrain situation. We had to introduce Gearbox 6. That's what we took the penalty for today. But in terms of getting through the sprint and the 2 races coming up, we could not do that all on Gearbox 5 and live to tell the tale. We could have well found ourselves in a mechanical failure situation, I think. You know, things like Lewis's retirement is probably down to something like this, you know, where there's been a decision to not take a penalty for changing a component and then something gives out. One of the very, very early, it may have been Gearbox 1, it may have been Gearbox 2, I don't know, but we had some big issues in oh god, why is it escaping me? All I can think is Monza, but there's the other Italian track. Why is its name escape me? That's so embarrassing. Officially known as the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, but it is it's like got its own name, but it's escaped me, and that's really embarrassing. So we'll move on. But we had an issue with the gearbox in there. Effectively, I finished down the order, but I decided to just quit the race because I'd treat it as a DNF. The gearbox has been pretty fragile. Once they get up to 80, they sort of get a bit unreliable. And having gearbox 5 at 61%, knowing what we had left to do, and that I used gearbox 3 in practice, and that had got up over 80%, it was sort of time to wave them on. They've got more reliable as time has gone on. I mean, like, we get more laps out of them. I'll be using gearbox 4 in practice in Brazil just to get that over the line. But yeah, I think otherwise we can get by. There'll be some bringing back in practice sessions of some of these older components. MGUH we kind of pushed a little bit today, so MGUK2 can come back on in practice 1. But everything else should see us through. The turbocharger, I think, will see us through the rest of the season. Gearbox 5 can be our practice gearbox, and Gearbox 6 can be for the races, so I hoped today would not involve any more changes. It has 2 more race weekends at least where I'm not going to have to worry about that. At least towards the end of the season here, there isn't so much freaking out and worry about getting things developed. We're not having to sweat those details anymore, which means instead of poring over details and trying to make difficult decisions for the next 20 minutes, I can bring the stream to an end. I've got to treat myself to a little hydrate. Just Killer is here. Hello. Hope you've had a good weekend. asking how I've used 6 gearboxes, I should say I didn't use them all at once, and I certainly did not inhale. It's just been the reliability story of the car, really, over the season. You know, it's in a lot better condition now than it was for probably the first quarter. Two more race weekends to go. Hold it together, car. Please. There was another fun one this evening. It was pretty challenging, and it kind of had the same sort of feel as last week, where like practice was tough. it wasn't like going to Silverstone or Monza, you know, tracks I've driven around so much. It's just yeah, I know this like the back of my hand. These were both difficult. They had sections which were quite technically tricky, and it took me a while to take to them. It paid off pretty well last week with a race win, and it paid off pretty well this week, considering I could have actually finished 5th with the 3 cars running on the mediums at the end, and had Lewis still been in the game, it could have been start 5th, finish 5th, no fish involved. And on paper that would have seemed to have been a particularly drab set of affairs, but as you saw, there was a lot going on. We had retirements, we had a long safety car period, which really messed things up. I think I would have had a slightly easier go of it if not for that safety car this evening, but that's racing. That's what happens sometimes, you know. You are out there in a field of 20 cars, and the only one that you have control over is the one that you're sitting in, and the rest of them are going to do what they're going to do. So that is it then. I think you might be right. I think you might be right. 5. They could have been a little bit very similar again to last week, with maybe a touch of damage on an end plate of the front wing. That may have just scrubbed a touch off the performance of the car. Not enough to be really noticeable, but enough to take off like a 10th here, a 10th there. But that'll do it for the Mexican Grand Prix. Done and dusted and consigned to the history books. Next time, it's going to be a heckin' beast. There's one fewer practice session, but because it's a sprint weekend, it's all over the place. One practice session, then qualifying, then another practice session, then your sprint race, then your full Grand Prix. Less opportunity to practice, so you really have to nail those practice programs bang on as soon as possible. And a lot in practice 1 about quick, remember how the track works, and then oh my god, I've got to at least practice a hot lap, all in that first session. So the pressure will be on. It's kind of 6 and 1.5 dozen of the other in terms of how long all of that will take. You take one practice session out of the equation, but you're chucking in a race. You know, so there'll be 2 races coming up next time. Interlagos barely changed in terms of layout, so it's one that I've played in a whole bunch of different F1 games over the years. So hopefully it won't be so much of an uphill battle to get familiar with it and pick up pace. But yes, all of that to look forward to next time out, which, all things going well, will be next weekend from 5:30 PM UK time. The Brazilian Grand Prix all in one evening, 2 practice sessions, qualifying, a sprint race and the Grand Prix, all happening in an evening. And hopefully not too late a finish. This is still long at 5.5, but it wasn't close to 6 that we had last week. Let's see if next week could be nice and laid back as well. So that is what we have coming up next week. Brazilian Grand Prix, Sunday, 5:30 p.m. UK time. Please do come along.